Welcome, Frontrunner family. We are now joined by Kris Van Der Haegen. He's the coach, educational director in the Belgium FA. Can you please just quickly explain what your position means?
My position is I'm the responsible for the coach education department, so the development of coaches in the Belgian game. Beside that function, I'm also assistant coach of the women's national team. That's why I'm at the moment in Poland, where we play the first qualifying game this afternoon, late afternoon at 5 o'clock. So, and I'm also working from that position in the Belgian FA. I'm also working as a JIRA panel member in UEFA, where we are responsible for the development of coach education all over Europe.
When we talk football development, where does that whole process start?
Yeah, when we start talking about football development in general, we should say that it starts at the foundation of the football pyramid. So if you want to build a strong football environment, and that's the mistake that often is made. Everybody starts thinking about the top of the pyramid and the senior team and the senior men's team, for example, in a federation or in a club, the senior team. But that's the most important mistake. We should start thinking about, if we want to build a strong senior team, we have to go 10 years back and start working on the foundation of that pyramid, because the stronger you make that foundation and the larger that foundation is, the higher you can build a pyramid. So it's really important to make a master plan on the long term. And that's the difficulty in football. They don't like long term. They want immediate success, but immediate success as a nation, it is not possible. As a club, you can buy all the best players from around you, and this will help you to be successful on the shorter term. But then you need a huge budget. But as a nation, if you want to develop your football as your national football, you should start thinking about what is the foundation of our football, and how can we have more players, and how can we make better players from this quantity. So it's about quantity first, and then combination with quality.
Now, Michel Sablon revolutionized in a way how Belgium approached football. What are the basics that he started with in revolutionizing the football in Belgium?
Yeah, the most important thing was getting all the stakeholders together. And when we say stakeholder, that means the professional clubs, because we need each other to build a master plan, a common master plan for the nations, so for the whole nation. So if you say, I want to do it alone as a federation, as a football association, it doesn't work, because as a football association, you don't have the players. So we need the collaboration of the club. So we need a common vision, a common master plan. And then, of course, what are the most important tools to create the best development environment? This is coach education. So you need to develop the best possible coaches to work with the youngsters. So you need one profile of coaches, which are children's coaches, because this is a specialty. It's completely different as senior football coaches. So you have to work on these different profiles, create the right courses for these different profile of coaches, and then work all together on a common vision. And that vision was, we want to develop technically developed players, technically strong, with fast decision-making, yeah, explosivity, creativity. That mix of ingredients are really the foundation of the way we want to play. But this is one idea that you make an idea about, this is the future of football, and then you have to start building the players to be able to play this kind of football. Yeah, and to be successful on that project, you need long-term, and you need common vision. All the clubs, all the coaches in the country, all together sharing that vision and starting to work in that direction.
Can you please give me an example of how you just mentioned how the teams in Belgium contribute to the national team's success? How do you communicate?
Yeah, communicate by meetings. So, and that's the advantage of our country. We have a very small country in distances. So, like every month, the technical directors of the academies of the professional clubs, they meet each other to discuss about the future of Belgian football and to discuss about the future of their clubs. So, in one way, they are collaborating with each other to work on the project for a long time. But on the other way, they are competing each other in the national competition. But these are two different things, because it shows that you can collaborate on a development project on the long term, and on the other side, you have to compete against each other, because in the weekend you play against each other. But these are two different attitudes and two different worlds. It's the world of performance, that's results, and then you have the world of development, long-term thinking. And you can perfectly separate these two things and working together for the long term and being really competitive on the performance side.
Right now, we see Belgium as being #1 in the world rankings. We see some of your best players are playing in the best teams and in the best leagues in Europe. How quickly do you encourage movement from the Belgian league to the top European teams?
Yeah, not too quickly, because the examples of the players who are really doing very well now, these examples show us that as a youngster, and especially this is linked with our DNA, we are happy, we want to be close to the family. We don't like adventure, so we don't like flying out too early. And that's why the Belgian league is really a perfect league in that sense, that youngsters, the very best ones, they can start playing in the league 17 years old. Lukaku even started at 16 years old, but he's an exception because of his physicality at very young age. But they can start playing like Yuri Tielemans, 17 years old, 17, 18 years old. They can play for 1, 2, 3 years in the Belgian league, taking experience of playing time, because that's so important. Opportunity, because when you move at 18 years old abroad to a top club, there is no playing opportunity. You are training there, you make a big transfer, but you don't play in the Premier League. And you're a bench player, you train, yeah, but the most important thing to go to the next level is playing opportunity and competing. And that's why it's better to stay 3 more years in the Belgian league, playing a lot of games, playing international games, getting called up with the national team, taking that experience with where you see the difference between where you are now and where are these star players, and then going to the next level at the right moment.
No, you're so right, because I'm thinking at how De Bruyne went to Chelsea but had to go, I think, to Germany. Now he's back in the Premier League. Even Lukaku's journey has been long, loan spells. He wasn't getting regular game time. Now tell me, in the Belgian FA, for the senior national team, how big is your pool of players?
Yeah, that's a very important point, because just to give you an idea, we are in Poland now with our women's national team. And yesterday I spoke to the fitness coach of Poland, and they have 38 million of people. 38 million. Belgium have 14 million. So if you have only 14 million, you really have to take care of every single player. So we cannot, our pool of players, it's not so big. Just to give you an example and a comparison, around Paris, the city of Paris, around Paris, there are more football players than in our country. So that's why we really have to be smart about, like, De Bruyne is a good example. Mertens also, late mature players. So they are very thin at 15, 16 years old. They are not ready to compete, but the clubs keep working with them. They say, okay, we have to be patient. They need more time to develop and to grow up and to become a real senior player. So, and in that period of development, that playing opportunity is so important. And we cannot deselect them and leave them out of the process, because otherwise we are losing too much talents, and our pool is already very small. So we have to think about how can we get everybody together. This is one thing on the elite level. And also we really are really proud on that aspect, on this area. The grassroots game in Belgium, the amateur game, and also for youngsters, for children, is really very, very structured, and it's one of the best in the world. And we really want to invest a lot of money and a lot of attention to these grassroots coaches and these grassroots clubs, because they bring the quality for the elite level. And if there is a big gap between the grassroots level and the elite level, the youngsters, they never get to the elite level. So this is also why we have invested a lot of time and money also in coach education for grassroots, because this is the future of your game.
That is so true, Kris. That's where it all starts, grassroots level. As we wrap up, speaking of Roberto Martinez, what kind of structure has he built with the Belgian FA?
So the structure was already there. The structure till the senior team, that whole structure, that whole pathway, he didn't change it. So it was already there. What he changed was the tactical approach in the senior team, because he was one of the first national teams playing with a back three. So he changed, because in Belgium, the common playing system is 1-4-3-3, 4 defenders, 3 midfielders, 2 offensive midfielders, and 3 strikers, with 2 wingers and 1 deep striker. And he changed it because there were too many central defenders, and we didn't have enough wing defenders. So he was looking for a solution. And in his idea, in his plan was also the point, how can I get my best offensive players together in one playing system? That means Lukaku, De Bruyne, Hazard, Dries Mertens. How can we keep these guys together, because they have a huge impact on the game and on the result of the game. So that's the biggest change he made when he arrived. But then really after, so he's now several years with us, and he really built a high performance environment, not only with the senior team. So he brings that down to the under 21 team, and that tactical flexibility, he brought it down to till the under 19. But under 15, 16, 17 in the national team, they all play the same way, still 4-3-3, like we started doing in 2000. And Roberto, he changed just the top of the pyramid, and now he's bringing things down, a top-down evolution to help the youngsters to be ready for that tactical flexibility.
Last question, women's football. You are in Poland for qualifiers. What has Belgium done to make sure the women's game grows?
We started going through the same process as what we did with the boys. So that means helping the grassroots clubs, trying to get more and more girls involved, because the first focus is quantity. You need big numbers. And just to give you an idea, in 7 years or 8 years, we doubled the number of girls. So that's already, that quantity is now there. We have double number. So now we start doing a lot of projects in grassroots football, not just to attract them, but especially to have retention, to keep them in the game, and to give them the best possible learning environment and training environment. Yeah, and that brings us up to under 15 national team, working with big squads, not just 18 players, but as large as possible, because the more players you can bring to our national center to train with the national team, the better it is for the development of this bigger group. So we do a lot of activities with our under 15, 16, 17, and now just last year we created for the first time ever, because the numbers are growing, an under 23 team. So they are just before the senior team, and they will starting from today. They also have a game this evening. And in every international window, they play 1 or 2 international games against big teams like Sweden, England, Spain, Germany. And that's really important, that we can give them playing opportunity in the international environment, because this is completely different than the national competition. And also there, we make the FA is doing big efforts to try to raise the bar in our local competition.
Thank you, Kris. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank
All
you.
the best.